Welcome to Comically Comics, your one-stop listen to all things comics. We're talking books, movies, TV shows, video games, and more. I must forewarn you, though, we are a spoiler cast, and what that means is we consider all properties, past, future, and present, to be valid, and we will spoil the hell out of them. I'm your host, Michael, along with my two co-hosts, Richard and Jeremy, and with all that being said, let's get started. Sunday, May 25th. We got something special for y'all. We're gearing up for Fantastic Four coming in July. And the thought of maybe like Council of Reeds, Council of Dooms, what have you, has led us down this dark path of Fantastic Four movies. And what a dark path it is. You went full blown there.
Yes.
I still want at the end of one of those, like the Deadpool or whatever, like fuck me, like that. But yeah, we're not talking, that F4 with Michael B. Jordan. We're not talking Rise of Silver Surfer. We're not talking Jessica Alba in the first one. Oh no. We're going even further back. 1994, fellas. 1994. With something that was never released and maybe intentionally never released on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
Roger Corman's Fantastic Four from 1994. You can find it on YouTube.
Yes.
So if you really want to watch this, you can find it on YouTube. I don't maybe we can put the link in the show notes or something. I mean, it's on YouTube. Like that should be okay.
Yeah, well, it's fine. They're sold at cons. If you, bootleg versions are sold at cons. It's fine. Like honestly, we're probably late to the game about talking about this movie. So many people have talked about this movie in the past.
Well, it shows up here and there, and it's you do have to find it sometimes. But shout out to Cali Comics. He sent me a link to it, so go check him out over there on YouTube. But yeah, Fantastic Four, 1994. Jeremy, what is your whelming on this movie?
Underwhelmed. Painfully whelmed. I don't know.
There's no nostalgia feels on this?
No.
You have to have seen it first to have nostalgia when rewatching it.
Well, because in watching it, I tried to compare it, thinking in my mind about, with the Batman movies, but I was like, this is still just so much worse. And not even the acting was just, oh man, yeah, it was just rough.
Yeah.
So
I talked with my wife about this today while we were eating dinner, and I was like, let's not forget this is 1994, and I was listing off movies that came out between 1990 and 1995, and I know this is Roger Corman, who's infamously known as making movies on the dirt cheap. The budget for this movie was $1 million, if even that. When I was watching the documentary today, a lot of editors did not get paid to finish this movie. I can't remember all the years, but Jurassic Park came out. Batman, 1989 Batman, and Batman Returns with Michelle Pfeiffer and Danny DeVito came out around this time. Seven came out a year after this. There's so many great, iconic movies that have come out. So the excuse of yes, I understand VFX wise and effects wise, when you have a very small budget, I get that. But the acting is so bad. The Crow came out the same year, and I argue that The Crow is better than this.
I want to interject just because you hit on something that I marked down as well. Is I went through and listed off a bunch of movies that came out during this time. And yes, you already hit on Batman Returns. You just talked about The Crow. Batman Returns was 1992. Crow was 1994. The Mask, Jim Carrey's The Mask.
Yes, that was one of the ones. Yes.
Which had a bunch of CGI type stuff because, The Mask is a very animated character. 1994, same exact year. The Rocketeer with, was it Brendan?
I forget his name, but yeah.
Yeah. We all know it. We all know The Rocketeer.
Yeah, I love that
was 1991.
Mm-hmm.
So that was 3 years earlier. Judge Dredd, the first one with Stallone, 1995. TMNT, the original Ninja Turtles that we 1990, yeah. Dick Tracy, 1990 as well. Like, there's other movies. And then Spawn, 3 years later, comes out in 1987, which, not that Spawn's like a great whatever, but it was testing the waters of the CGI and all the animation and stuff like that with movies.
Yeah.
I still feel like it did have 3 years, but it did a better job.
Well, not just that, but also they had bigger budgets. But that's why
That's
I'm
true.
like,
That's true.
I'm not comparing that because that's unfair, but like the acting is real bad. It's real bad. And I kind of just jumped the gun, but like I'm sorry, Jeremy, are you done with your whelming?
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, I was done.
My whelming is we need a new whelming because, well, like, I'm underwhelmed, but I also, and this is just me, I love watching bad movie. Like good. This is the definition of a good bad movie because this is a bad movie, but it is so fun to watch with people and laugh at. Like I had the most fun watching this movie with my wife who has never seen it. And we were just ragging on it constantly. And it was so much fun.
That's funny. I tried to be like delicate with this movie, honestly, because like I was trying to take into consideration that it was 1994. I was trying to take into consideration that Roger Corman, that's the director, right?
Yeah.
He's like you were saying,
No,
he's
not
notorious.
the director. Sorry, he owned the studio.
Okay,
that produced all this.
Got you. But there was a recognition of like this being the B movie guy.
Yeah.
Is what it boiled down to. And so I was trying to take a lot of that into consideration and like the story and the time, like, I don't know. I was like utterly whelmed. I was in that like kind of in between area. This is definitely not a movie that I'd watch ever again or like just to jump the gun and say like, I'm not going to recommend anybody really watch this movie either, except for if you're like Richard and you just like to watch bad movies with people and, and make fun of them.
Yes.
Like, have your fun that way. But dadgummit, when I was talking about nostalgia earlier, no, I've never seen this before, but it reminded me of the Flash pilot or Generation X, because at that point in time, they were doing like movies as like pilots to see if like a TV show could be made.
Mm.
And so, like, no, I don't think that was the hopes of this, is that we'd get a Fantastic Four TV show. But, like, that's what this reminded me of. And that's where the nostalgia kicked in. I was like, well, it's kind of like the Flash movie, not the Flash, or pilot. Not that it was any good. But, like, the Flash did a TV show. It was okay for at the time. Again, it's how fast can Barry really run. But, like... Generation X didn't make it. That was one that it fell flat. But people remember it to this day. So that's kind of where I was at with the whole nostalgia thing.
This is like Flash Gordon.
That's funny. All right, so this movie features the origin of the Fantastic Four, at least their version of the origin of the Fantastic Four, as well as Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom is, of course, wanting to get powers to rule the world as per usual. I just want to just start talking about just notes and stuff like that because I have so many questions. I wrote so many questions down for this movie.
Okay.
And the first one was in the first 5 minutes. There is a comet that's coming through. And it's called Colossus.
Yeah.
And that's where they're trying. Reed and Doom Reed and Victor are trying to grab the power of this comet. Which, by the way, I want to interject before I get to my question with, I'm glad they made them colleagues and friends because that is comic accurate stuff right there.
That's what I was about to say.
I was like, you know what? On some of the stuff, they're actually hitting good comic accurate stuff here.
I'm going to interject just for 1 second or not interject, but I just add this little tidbit of as we watch the rest of these Fantastic Four movies, you will notice that this is unfortunately the most comic accurate Doom we've ever gotten.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, that's the thing. And I mean, even down to the costume.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I want to see Robert Downey Jr. in something like this, MCU'd up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I want to see a better version of this. I love his bravado. At one point he leaves a room and he sweeps his cape as he does it. I'm like, if Robert Downey Jr. doesn't at least do that once, I'm going to be very disappointed.
Well, and apparently he needs a school class, like skeletons walking around behind him, because I feel like that's what the noise was every time he moved.
Oh, his
Like-
little clinking.
Yeah, to me, it was more like a skeleton was just dangling around back there or something. Because I was like, oh, why is he clinking around every? I don't know.
It was the
That's
Foley
funny.
design back then, or not back then, but rather just is that Roger Corman bad
Yeah.
B movie?
So as this comet is passing by, though, it is flashing like all. I don't know that comets do this. I've never seen a comet go by, but this one is doing somewhat of a light show here, y'all. I'm just letting you know. And my question was, how many people had a seizure that night trying to watch this comet go by? Because there should have been a warning before this. Like, that was a lot of flashing.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I know some of them flash going through our atmosphere, but like nothing
Yeah.
to the extent of like it's a strobe light.
I was gonna say it was disco time.
Yeah.
It was disco time that night. As I keep moving through my notes, one of the biggest off-puts for me was I don't know if Johnny and Sue were part of this like orphanage. What the fuck was this? Where we get 11 to 13-year-old Sue Storm, who is smitten by what has to be 22 or so
No,
year old,
no.
20 or 22 year old
Brother is like
Reed
35 years
Richards.
old.
The actor, yes, but no way. To jump 10 years later and now like 20-year-old Sue
Yeah.
Storm is like all about some 30-something-year-old Reed Richards.
I did not tell my wife anything about this movie. And I knew about that. Reed's basically a pedo or a groomer or something. Like, I don't know in this because it's gross. But when, we see them, it's Ben and Reed at the house, and Ben is playing games with Johnny on the
Yeah.
television. And there's something that happens with Sue with Reed, and she's like, "Oh, he's so dreamy," or whatever.
Yeah.
And my wife didn't pick up that was Sue and Johnny. And then it like cuts to something else. I can't remember what, but anyway. And then it clicked with her that those little kids were Sue and Johnny. And she was like, "Wait, is that Sue?" And I was like, "Yes." And she was like, "What? Ew." And I was just dying. I was like, she's like, "Why did they do that?" I was like, okay. I was like, I think because this movie's dumb and bad, I was like, I think Reed is supposed to be really young too, but they didn't want to cast like a kid. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, we'll
Yeah.
see in Fan Four Stick, Reed at one point actually, no, they do that with him as well. Never mind. I'm trying to remember. I thought there was one where there's a movie where Reed's like a young child and he's like attending college. He's like young Sheldon or something. I forget what it is, but I think that was the intent there, but they just didn't cast a child actor or something. Like,
Yeah.
Reed is supposed to be much younger looking than what he actually is.
Right. Yeah. Maybe so.
But regardless, if I'm filming this, I'm like, this doesn't look right. This is weird.
No.
Let's
Yeah.
change this completely.
No, exactly. Because, like, you just saw them as kids. I don't care that you put up a thing that said 10 years later.
Well,
like,
like
it feels so weird.
it is weird because like it goes 10 years later. They just show up and they're like, "Hey, we're going to kidnap your kids and take them to space."
That was another one of my notes. Why do we need Johnny and Sue again?
Yeah, like
Why?
they know they somehow like they're not scientists. Johnny, if at most, is 18 at this point.
Right.
But they're on the space station and and Reed's telling them like, "Sue, I need you to triangulate the calculations of the comet." And I'm like, she doesn't know how to do this. Like, why are you like, what is going on right now?
Now, Sue Storm very well could have got the cliff notes of how to do this, okay?
No, but what I'm saying
Written by
is,
Reed.
like, in the world that they have built, I'm like,
Yes.
these people, they were children 10 years ago. And when Reed shows up and sees Sue, he's like gobsmacked at how pretty she is or whatever. And
Right.
implying that he hasn't seen her for those 10 years.
Right.
So I'm like, how do they know how to do any of the scientific stuff?
Which now that you put it, it makes it even worse, honestly, because it's like he hasn't seen her in 10 years and she comes down. He's like, "Oh, Sue, how much you've grown." It's like, oh,
it's creepy. It's the creepiest aspect of this movie. It's so fucking weird.
And like Ben doesn't bother me because it looked more like a Big Brother kind of thing. So like that was I was cool with the whole Ben thing. And I think that's also too what like doesn't help with the whole Reed was younger is because Ben was older as well. Like Ben was in college with Reed and Victor and all that other jazz.
Yeah, you're right. The scene is weird. I don't, because my wife is like, why were they doing that? I was like, I don't know. And she was like, why do they even bring them along? I was like, because they have to be the Fantastic Four. Like, that's the only reason they're coming along is so Sue and Johnny can get their powers and they can all be the Fantastic Four.
Right. You can't have the Fantastic Two.
The Terrific Two.
The Terrific Two. Oh, man. That's funny. I did read something where there's a character by the name of the Jeweler that's in this movie. And apparently, originally, he was going to be Mole Man, which I think is really cool, but they didn't have the rights to Mole Man. So they created this character by the name of the Jeweler. And the Jeweler was all about stealing this diamond that Reed had. But until he saw Alicia Masters, and then it was like, oh no, I've got to go see this woman more.
Diamond who? What am I doing?
What diamond?
Yeah.
Like what? It's stuff like that drives me nuts. It's like his name is the Jeweler. He's all about the diamond until Alicia Masters rolls around, which, you know what? Kudos to them for bringing Alicia Masters in. Like, come on.
But she's got like a rock fetish of herself because the way she is caressing. Like, my wife was like, this movie is weirdly sexual.
Yeah, because she made like a bunch of these. So, for the audience, Alicia Masters gets tripped up and knocked over, and Ben helps her up. Well, she feels his face and memorizes, essentially, and then starts making these busts of him like a serial killer, okay?
Let's not skip over for a second. He doesn't help her up. He like manhandles. Like, she's a really blind woman. She doesn't know what's going on, and he just like grabs her and lifts her up.
Nobody said Ben was the smartest and didn't look at that cane. Okay?
No, I know, but it was so like my wife was like, "What is he doing? What is he doing?"
So yeah, she makes all these busts of his, and she is just feeling them up, okay, as they've been brought out to her, and she got it bad, y'all. I'm just letting you know. She's yes. I will say I do like the correlation of Alicia Masters being attracted to the Thing because it's like he's got that hard face. You know what I mean? It's almost like the clay and all that. Like, I like the stuff they were doing with things like that, where it's like, well, Stu, you're invisible because you're shy. When they were leading on to that, I actually liked that kind of stuff.
Oh, really? I hated it. I think that stuff's so dumb.
Well, the fact, like, he's like, oh, I stretched myself so thin. And I was like, oh, you know what? I like that. And then, like, the whole, you know, our powers are faults, and now they're the most powerful thing about us, you know, or a representation of the most powerful thing about us, or whatever. So I liked it. I liked that, but that's also me.
Yeah. When Ben bumps into Alicia and he's like super apologetic and he says something about like, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. And she was like, oh, I know, I can sense that. I'm like, she's blind? Like, blind? That's not how their senses work. Yeah, like, she's not Daredevil.
She could be. They go up into space, and of course they get flashed and they get their powers, and that crashes the craft down. And I assume Latveria or somewhere close to Latveria.
They just so happen to land in Latveria.
Right.
Like the Teletubbies hill or something.
It's very nebulous in Eastern European, like Eastern Europe. I mean,
I had the same question as Reed did. How the fuck did all four of them?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah. I was laughing at that scene and I was like, yeah, not only did the ship blow up in space and they survived
Right.
The extremes of space, but also landing or going through our atmosphere and then
Right.
crashing into Earth, like with their bare bodies.
Superman style.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or I guess most recent Batman style too.
They're also not even like when Johnny comes down, he's not even concerned about Sue, his sister. Like he's just like, we're alive.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie though. I feel like dude nailed Johnny.
Oh,
As
God,
far
his
as-
acting is so bad in this movie. His is the worst.
Not necessarily his acting, but the like what he gets excited about and whatnot like that. I
Yeah.
felt like they nailed that. Whereas like that's totally Johnny. Like that's
he's a dumb kid or whatever.
right.
We kind of talked about it, but I don't know if you were planning on getting it. But one of the things too with the jeweler, I didn't know until I watched the documentary. But yes, they absolutely, this was supposed to be Mole Man. You've said it, like they didn't technically have the rights to use Mole Man. It was this whole thing because like so many people and stuff premiered in Fantastic Four that if you were to say like, if you have the rights to this, you have the rights to like all of Marvel's characters.
Right.
So
right.
it was a whole thing. But anyway, they made him the jeweler, but he looks like the leprechaun from the horror movie, The Leprechaun. It looks like they just had a bunch of that like prosthetics lying around and then they just redid it. And then like he goes to steal that jewel, which causes the Fantastic Four's like accident or whatever. But he's also doing it to give to Alicia Masters. And my wife and I were like, she's blind. She's not going to know. Like he had a fake. He had a duplicate that looked exactly like the original just on hand. And I'm like, she's not going to know the difference.
The man's got standards and somewhat of a conscience deep down inside is what it boils down to.
He kidnapped a woman.
It was over love. He was smitten.
I think any woman can tell the difference between a diamond and cubic zirconium.
No, that is not if they're blind.
He was gonna describe the clarity and everything to her, so like he needed to have like a good like standard there. But Richard's not buying it.
No, I'm not. It's just so bad. But yeah, back on your thing, that I wrote down that stretch scene.
All the stretch scenes. What are you talking about? That stretch
Well,
scene?
that one, like in particular, to me is really bad. Where Sue is falling backwards, and Reed like reaches out to like save her
because she was going to fall on a spike.
Yeah,
a piece of shrapnel from the spacecraft for our listeners. Yeah, what I caught myself because I was getting ready to write. Reed's suit can't stretch with him, and I'm like, well, this is 94. They're not going to have like some kind of prosthetic. You know what I mean? Like, how bad would it have looked if it was a prosthetic arm you know what I mean? Going all the way out from like his suit or his jacket or whatever.
Well, we get that. We get that later on.
I don't remember this. So.
There's a couple of prosthetic arms that stretch and legs and stuff.
Oh, I thought the suit always just went with it.
Well, okay. I see what you're saying. It's not a bare arm, but yes.
Right. Yeah. That's what I was getting at.
Okay.
Ben doesn't turn into the Thing necessarily on impact of Earth.
Yeah.
It's like that evening when he actually is in rock form.
Yeah, which I want to say happens in the comic as well. Like once they return, he's normal. And if I'm not mistaken, they're like talking with him and he slowly starts turning into the Thing.
Well, I feel like that's pretty consistent with the other movies as well. Like if I remember the first like Jessica Alba Fantastic Four, I'm pretty sure that's what happens to Ben there too.
I can't remember.
Like they come back and he's fine, and then he slowly turns into like he goes to sleep and then he wakes up and he's like, "What the fuck?" Like he doesn't say that because they didn't do that then. But.
Yeah, that's in Fantastic.
Is that in that too?
No. I'm making a joke about because the Fantastic is like, what if Fantastic Four was dark and gritty and says the F word.
I think that's the one that's got the kid Reed, by the way. The kid Reed and the kid Ben, because like Reed's dad works or lives in a junkyard or something, or Ben's dad, one or the other.
That was the one that I was thinking of, but also Miles Teller it's just Miles Teller, but he's at like a science fair, like a kid's science fair. It's just fucking weird because it's like a grown ass adult, like as a 22-year-old man at a like kids like elementary science fair or something. It's fucking weird.
The whole reason they moved Tobey Maguire up really quick in those movies.
Yes, exactly. When they're at Latveria, you know, they finally realize they're there and stuff, and the people are like attacking. Sue like just kills somebody. Like she turns invisible and these two Doom soldiers shoot each other.
Yeah.
Which I thought was cool, but I'm just like, and then it cuts to Reed, who's like, I'm just gonna trip him. I'm gonna kill him with slapstick. Like, it's so fucking tonally weird. Like it's just so weird.
Not one, but two of them, because they were like face to face shooting, trying to kill Sue. Mm-hmm. So like, so they killed each other. Like, I'm skipping ahead from that just because I didn't really have any notes from then on. But you got Ben, who is just upset, and he starts walking the main streets of New York.
Yeah,
and trying to find his place in life. And at one point in time, they do this like.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, why the fuck is Jason around here now? Like, why is the thing Jason?
So I think one of the reasons why they did that, because there's no lines, I think, uttered in most of that. The one I'm thinking of, you're talking about when he walks up on those girls and he's like sad or whatever. And
that whole montage of
Well, apparently when I was watching the documentary is they needed that. They didn't have those scenes and they weren't going to get the actor back. So they got someone from production who was essentially the same height, and they shot, like they put on the thing suit and they shot it guerrilla style, meaning like those people that you see on the street are real people in real life. They're not like extras. It's called guerrilla style. It's technically illegal because you're supposed to like pay permits and stuff to film, and they just shot that in one take real quick, so that's why it's like that.
Now they had two people to play Ben Grimm. Well, they had one person to play Ben Grimm, and they had one person to play the thing, if I remember right. So is the person that's do you know if the person that's in the thing costume is the one doing the voice for the thing then? Or is that still Ben?
So the documentary talks about it. The guy who does the voice for the thing is the actor that plays Ben Grimm.
Okay.
But they also modulate it.
Yeah.
So it sounds like a little bit deeper, if you will. But they forgot to do that at the end during the wedding scene. That's why his voice sounds completely different. When he's like, everybody move out of the way, make some room for the bride and groom. Like, it's not the same modulated voice.
Okay, so since we're here at the very end, where, of course, Fantastic Four have saved the day, I've got to throw this out here because my comment, my arms?
Oh, no, I thought that's what you were going to refer to as the waggly arm.
Oh, the wave.
This is the most terrible. This is the second most terrible stretchy arm scene. It's just like a fucking hand. It's like a inflatable rubber hand on like some, I don't know, some hanger, like metal hanger wires.
It's like a fucking pill noodle with a glove on the end.
It's just so fucking bad. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail what you were going to say.
No, you're good. But it's like you see them save the day, and then the next scene over is Sue Storm and Reed coming out married. Sue's in a wedding dress, but everybody else is in their costumes, and I'm like, what did they do? Save the earth and get married to celebrate? Like,
yeah, probably. Well, like my wife was pointing out, Ben's still in his like little Speedo thing.
Yes,
they're like, he couldn't even put on clothes for the wedding.
That's exactly what I'm saying. It's like, hey, we saved the world. Let's get married. Let's just do it.
Well, this movie was shot in 21 days, which is unheard of.
Yeah, no, it tells.
It was around Christmas time too, and one of the things the documentary was talking about, the guy that played Reed was like, yeah, we got Christmas Day off, but we had to come in like later that day on Christmas Day. And he's like, I knew something was weird then.
And they didn't, like, did they get paid? I know some people didn't get paid, but I wonder if the actors actually got paid.
Yeah, they got paid. A lot of people got paid, but it was after everything was filmed and stuff. They were supposed to go into post-production where they do everything and edit it and do the special effects. And then typically with Roger Corman, they do stuff really quickly and on the cheap, but he was just like letting it just sitting there collecting dust. And they were very curious about all that. And anyway, I'll talk a little bit more about it once we're done talking about the movie. But yeah, it is so when you watch that, I highly recommend watching that documentary. It's I sent it to y'all. It's called like Doomed, the like untold story of Roger Corman's Fantastic Four. It's on YouTube. It's like an hour 30 or something like that. It's very interesting to watch.
We'll put that in the show notes as well. That way if folks want to go and check that out too.
Once you watch that, you're like, the fact that this movie even looks the way it does is a miracle. But yeah, no, I one of the other shitty things that I remembered was that all the clothing that you see, I don't know about Reed, like I don't know about the guys, but the actress that played Sue, all the clothing that you see her wearing is her own clothing. It's not even like even like costuming made it. The only thing that she wore that was from costuming was the wedding dress and the Fantastic Four costume.
Wow. Well, all right then. They were just trying to cut costs.
Yeah.
On cheap here. Back to Ben Grimm, the Thing. There's a moment where he's trying to save Alicia Masters from the jeweler who's also like trying to use her as ransom or whatever for Doom, because now everybody's after the diamond and Alicia Masters. So those are the two most valuable things on earth right now. and Alicia, because she's so smitten by Ben, and she recognizes his voice, even though it's gotten drastically deeper, is now in love with Ben. Okay, just in love with him, and that transforms him back to regular old Ben Grimm, and he's got to get the fuck out of there because he's gonna die because he's not bulletproof anymore. I know there's like one comic where Ben gets like a wish where he can be normal again, but outside of that, I don't think he can like feel love and then go back to normal. That's not, I don't think that's a thing in comics.
No, he has on many occasions turned back into fleshy Ben because writers want to do something interesting with that story. But yeah, it's not typically something he can just willfully do. I think there was a little bit of an arc where he had the ability to change from fleshy Ben to rock Ben. Other than that, no, not really. I made a dirty joke of like, well, when his blood flow all went to his penis, it took away the rock form.
Don't be gross, Tammy.
So it would be the opposite of the Hulk then.
What?
Well, we know from.
Oh, you're talking about the Edward Norton. Yeah.
Hulk, that like he gets too excited. Hey. It's hide the zucchini.
Yes.
But for
Don't
Ben
be gross,
Grimm,
Tammy.
But for Ben Grimm, it's the opposite in this universe.
One of the things I want y'all to keep in the back of your mind when watching all these is I want to compare things and dooms throughout these 4 movies.
Okay.
Because like, I'll say this. A lot of people say that this thing is better than the Michael Chiklis, Jessica Alba thing.
I'm not going to lie. Like, no, the lips don't match up. They don't sync up. But like costuming for the Thing, I don't think it was that bad, especially for the time period.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about now or whatever, like Backrack looks Jack Kirby all the way. Fantastic.
Yeah.
But like, we can't expect that from 94. Like, I feel like the suit for the Thing wasn't that bad. So
yeah. It has a lot of like, which it was tied to trauma, which made the Toxic Avenger. And it kind of looks like the Toxic Avenger, which makes me wonder if they just used the mold from it and like changed it up, added the rock detail to it.
That's funny.
So what did y'all think of Doom and his voice?
You're so stuck on Doom.
I mean, can you blame me?
Jeremy, I'm gonna let you take this.
I mean, again, he was all right, I guess. I wasn't obviously a fan of the talking inside of a tin can type thing, and it was hard to understand. You're right. I needed the subtitles,
Yeah.
like to be able to understand everything he was
I
saying.
desperately looked for subtitles and I could not find anything because I remember watching it and I remember having a hard time listening and rewatching it. I picked up on some more things, but there was one point where I was like, I don't know what the fuck he just said. I have no idea what he said there.
Yeah, but I did like, kind of like you said, his like what you had said earlier about his Bravo or whatever, just his presence. I think he did on that part. I think he did okay on it, but it was just hard to follow with him.
Yeah. The actor that played him in the documentary talked about how the director told him he wanted him to be like Mussolini. If you go back and look at old historical footage, Mussolini would talk a lot with his hands. And there's this shot from like history footage where he's talking in front of a podium. And then after he gets done talking, he kind of crosses his arms and goes like, like kind of thing. So that was kind of the inspiration for Doom on this, which once knowing that, you're like, okay, that kind of makes sense why he was doing all this crazy theatrical stuff.
Yeah. I kind of like theatrical Doom, honestly.
Yeah,
I mean,
I do too.
Doom's a little over the top anyways.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean?
He talks about himself in the third person constantly. So
Right.
yeah.
Right. I don't like how they kind of contradicted his intelligence sometimes. Like that kind of aggravated me because he sent guys in to go steal this diamond at the beginning of the movie at the same time that the jeweler is stealing the diamond. And he tells the jeweler gets in there first and does like an Indiana Jones where he like replaces the diamond with the fake, like y'all were talking about earlier. And he's like, that's brilliant. We don't even have to do anything. And I'm like, how the fuck didn't you think of that? You're fucking Dr. Doom. What do you mean? Why? So those things like that, I was like, no, Doom would have had this all planned out.
Yeah.
This would have been like Doom is playing chess against these guys playing checkers. Come on now. Like,
I thought you were talking about, you were going to talk about this one scene. There's the funniest scene in the entire movie for me and my wife. Like we were crying, belly laughing. And it's where he basically sentences the Fantastic Four to death.
yeah.
And then he leaves. And then the Fantastic Four foil his plan and then escape. And then he comes back in like he just got done making tea. Like he comes into the room like, I just made my famous Latvian lavender tea. Who wants some? And he just kind of looks around the room and sees all of the like chaos. And he just goes, and then leaves. And it is the funniest fucking moment of the entire movie.
Yeah, no, I remember that one. That is funny. Well, especially because he looks at the wall. Like he doesn't get mad. He doesn't say, go get them. Nothing. And then the next scene, the FF are back at the Baxter building. And I'm like, fuck, did y'all get a plane ticket out of Latveria? Where do you keep your FF wallet at? How does this even work? Like, there's no Herbie. Like, what did you do?
Reed stretched really far. Really farther than he's ever stretched.
So we get to see Johnny like do a fire blast. We get to see him throw a fireball. He flames on and flies and blocks this laser. I know, fantastic graphics. And we see the thing in this practical suit and he's like beating people up, and we see Reed stretch his foot and leg and arms. Sue goes invisible several times, but uses that force field one time. And they got shot out a lot. Like, which maybe I can't blame her for relying on that, because like, how well does she know that it works? But still, like, Sue, you might want to start using that force field a little bit more. Like, just a little bit more.
Yeah.
That would have been handy whenever they were like possibly handy whenever they were getting like held captive by these like, I don't know, Mighty Morphin Power Ranger tunnels that were just kind of beaming down on them. They still had their powers because I'd just been like, go force field, and then like just stopped it.
Yeah, I don't think she knew she could create it until that one time. But yes, agreed. I thought if I'm making the movie, instead of her going invisible and like the guys shoot them like across from each other, I was like, why didn't she create a force field and like the bullets ricochet off of her and kill those guys or something? Like that would have been.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing that's equally as dumb is like that whatever that thing that is encasing them and like holding them in place. Apparently, it has just enough gap for Reed to wiggle his foot and then like kick the ray gun. It's so fucking bad. But you also reminded me when Johnny learns his powers, he learns saying flame on turns them on. And I'm like, that's not how they work. He just says flame on. Like, he can turn into the Human Torch without saying flame on. It's not like a switch. He has to say flame on or flame off, and then he turns on or off. That is so dumb.
That's the cue for the editing department.
Yes, no, it really is. It really is the cue for the boys back in post to be like, okay, he's going to be on fire here. But I don't want to skip over that horrible. It is the worst VFX I have ever seen in a movie ever of Johnny turning into the Human Torch. And then somehow he stops the laser by like tumbling in front of it constantly, which by the way, it's a laser. He shoots it up and yet somehow it's coming back down. It's a laser. It shoots in a straight line. Also, it's not faster than the speed of light. It's weird. Anyway.
Well, this one from Latveria does curve, okay? It leans a little to the left, and but it's got a nice curve.
If you look at, there's a trailer that was made, and they added better VFX for it. And I don't know if that scene's there, but I know some of the ones where Johnny's like blasting some fire, it looks way better than what we got. It doesn't look like today's standards way better, but it looks way better. But like, that's my point of like, all these other movies came out around this time and looked so like, I mean, this looks like the Lawnmower Man as far as VFX goes. It looks so fucking bad.
Yeah. Johnny's blast, just him just blasting a wall, like that straight up looked like a cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, easily.
It was that one was rough. That one was really rough. And like I said, like kind of thinking about how, Jim Carrey's The Mask is done at this time. That's probably my best thing to like really sit there and say, hey, look, the potential was there. Like the potential was there. Not maybe on that budget. They were doing a lot of freaking comic book movies back there in the 90s, along with that whole comic book boom and whatnot like that. I feel like we kind of hit it again. That's what it feels like anyways.
Jurassic Park came out in 1993.
Damn.
I was looking that up while you were came out a year before this movie was supposed to air. Those graphics still fucking hold up to this day.
Yeah. But a lot of that was practical, wasn't it?
Yes, but like there was a lot of scenes that weren't. The T-Rex at the end of the movie when it like hits the sign and it like falls down, all that's VFX. All that's
VFX.
Yeah, all that's CGI. None of that.
I know that him on the fence, I know that's all practical and like animatronic or whatever.
Yeah, but him in the rain, when we see the full shot of it and stuff, like that's VFX. Like a lot of that shit still holds up.
Oh, the full body. Gotcha. Yeah.
And it's just, I know what it boils down to is that this movie was intended so that Fox could keep the rights to the Fantastic Four so that they could eventually make what is now known as the 2005 Jessica Alba Fantastic Four. They were just needing to find the right director and the right budget and stuff to make a good, high quality Fantastic Four. And that's why they did it. And supposedly Roger Corman did not know this, though he got paid like $1 million to basically Like, that's not even, I'm not talking about like he got paid that and that was his budget. Like, he got written a check of $1 million to basically scrap this movie.
Wow.
Oh wow.
And that's one of the things mentioned in the documentary. The shitty part to me is everyone on the film, like the director, the editors, the costuming, the VFX, the actors and stuff. No one knew that it was going to be made just to be scrapped. Like, they went in it trying to do the best that they could.
Yeah.
Some of them, they thought this was going to be their big break. The real shitty part is when it came to promote the movie, they went to a bunch of Comic-Cons to promote it because they got like headshots and all sorts of like photos from the movie to sign, and they spent their own private money to like do all this.
that sucks.
And then halfway through, they got a cease and desist letter from the studio saying like, y'all don't need to be promoting because we're not releasing this movie.
Fuck.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing about it was that some of the stuff I was reading was, and I can't remember who it was, but they were wearing like a Fantastic Four T-shirt, and they would talk to like people about it, and were
Mhm.
like, "Yeah, we're making the movie," and like they were talking, you know what I mean? This wasn't actors; this was like bigwigs for the movie and the production stuff like that.
Mhm.
So like that's
Yeah,
that's
Yeah.
crazy.
that's rough.
I forgot to mention when you were talking about Ben walking around being on like a sad sack in New York. My wife and I were both screaming. We're like, he has a home. He's not homeless. Like, he still has a home. Like, why is he walking around like he's homeless?
I was hoping we get the trench coat and hat. Honestly,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They should have done that.
I don't know why they didn't.
They probably didn't because Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out 1990, and it probably,
Oh, yeah.
they were like, oh, it'll look too much like that.
Oh, they still should have done it. They so should have copied that. That would have made it a better scene. You could have just had him walking around sulking, but then he'd eventually had to make his way to the, I don't even know what those people were, the jeweler's minions.
I think they were supposed to be the Morlocks because, not the Underminer. That's from Incredibles. The Mole Man has the Morlocks, those like gross, like blind creatures. We saw them in the Old Man Logan story.
Aren't the Morlocks in X-Men?
Or you're right. I'm confusing that. I'm sorry.
But no, I know what you're talking about now.
It's like mole people, whatever they are.
Yeah, the
Moloids.
looking ones. Moloids. Yes.
The Moloids. I'm sorry. It's a different
you're good.
name, but I think they were supposed to be Moloids, but again, because they couldn't use the Mole Man, they were just like homeless people living in the sewers.
That makes sense.
Yeah, there was this one guy who was like, I don't know, he didn't have a lot of lines, so he was just doing like things with his hands constantly. And I think he was supposed to be like a gross moloid, like, he looks like Gollum from Lord of the Rings or something. But instead, he's just like this weirdo.
Well, and then there was the one that was like sniffing Alicia Masters when he was supposed to be just watching her, making sure, like.
I laughed so hard at that scene when the jeweler's like, he comes in there when that guy's sniffing her and he holds out his two hands and he's like, pick one. And then he picks one and then he just slaps him. It's just like, what is this scene?
All of that. This movie could have been like 30 minutes less
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
had they just cut out the jeweler and all that other nonsense.
Yeah. The other thing I love is when Doom teleports in to the jeweler's like lair, if you will, the sewers, and they just immediately start blasting. Like, my wife was just like, welcome to America. Because like, it was just literally the meme of like, and anyway, I started blasting. The last thing I love is just Doom talks a lot with his hands, especially in the monitor scene. It looks like he's doing ASL. Like, it just looks like he's doing sign language. And at one point, he tells them they have 12 hours, but he writes it where it's as if he was writing it so he could read the 12, but it's actually backwards for the Fantastic Four on the monitor.
So it was 21 for them.
Yeah, well, it wasn't even 21. It was like Z1.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's like so bad.
That's funny. And that's what I'm talking about. Like some of the stuff they got Doom, as far as like you messed with his intelligence a little bit. The goal is to make him pretty smart. You know what I mean? And then add some characteristics. I got the whole, I think it's cool, the whole Mussolini thing. I didn't realize that, but I figured a lot of it was just because you couldn't see his face. Like there's no emotion from his face at all because like it's a straight up just Doom accurate looking mask.
Yeah.
From a comic book, an older comic book. And so like that's why he probably did a whole lot of like hand wave and moving his hands. Some of it was annoying, but I let that slide because I'm like, how is he supposed to emote with that mask on in this time period?
Well, Doom, like we said, Doom is very theatrical anyway, so it does make sense. But the other reason why he sounds like he's in a mask constantly is they were going to bring, or the actor who played Doom was going to come back in and re-record his lines because of the whole, like, it sounds like he's wearing a mask. It's called ADRing. And they just never did it. Like, he kept calling them and we're like, hey, when do I need to come in? And they never got, like, they just ghosted him. And he talks about how, like, to this day, he's still annoyed. Because, like, he kind of takes it personal because he's like, I'm not a bad actor. Like this is, like, I want to fix this. And I kind of wish they would. Like, I wish they would, like, Disney would take a little bit of money and like give it a proper treatment. Not like make it today's graphics, but just like redo some ADR lines and then like give it some at the time graphics and then put it like on Disney Plus or something like that.
I mean, them, I don't know who else would do it, but like, I think it's Shout Factory. You know, I've showed y'all some of the DVDs that I've been buying lately. One of them was the Captain America. There's the two from like, I don't know, 70s or something like that. There's those two movies. And then they're the Shout Factory is the one that put out the Doctor Strange pilot movie. Yeah. That's that I can't wait to watch that.
Yeah.
I've
never seen it, so
I haven't either.
I'm excited to. I like this little, like, we're going back and watching just terrible, because it's fun to just because going in, you're like, this isn't going to be good, so it's just like a have fun and watch kind of thing.
Who's the not wizard, but the female version of a wizard? Sorceress. Who's the sorceress from Morgan Le Fay?
Oh, Morgan Le Fay. Yes,
is like the villain of this Doctor Strange movie, by the way.
Cool.
So I'm like, hey, look at that.
She's an Arthurian character, so that makes sense. She's also a lover of Doom, so that also makes sense. Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm done with my notes. I'm actually done too. I didn't really have anything like talking full about like behind the scenes. I kind of mentioned all the like super shitty stuff. Y'all should definitely check it out if y'all get a chance to watch that documentary. And our listeners, I too think you should watch it. It's pretty interesting read. Or not read, watch.
Read. Pun. Ha.
If this movie intrigues you that much, you should go find out more about it.
Yeah.
Like I said, we'll have the show notes for the movie and the behind the scenes things that Richard was talking about. We'll have the links for those in the show notes. Y'all go check those out. Next week, we're skipping ahead to Fox's next Fantastic Four, the first Jessica Alba one. So.
Oh my gosh.
Jeremy, where can they find you at till then?
They can find me on Twitch under the handle Night Fury GTO. It's Night with a K, and you can find me here.
Also, what about you, Richard?
I think I killed him. If you want to contact me directly, I have an X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, and an Instagram, a Blue Skies, and a Threads. My handle is Night Curry, night like day and night, and Curry with a K. If you want to contact us directly, we have a Gmail. Our Gmail is comicallycomicspodcast@gmail.com. And if you want to check us out on YouTube, possibly TikTok, we'll see, and Instagram, you can check us out under the name Comically Comics Podcast. And if you want to check us out on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, you can check us out under the name Comically Comics with an X.
We're getting so many copyright strikes for this one.
I know. I'm sorry. I know. I was like, whatever. The copyright bots be damned. I'm doing this.
You can find me on Instagram, eBay, and Shortbox22_comics. You can also find me on YouTube at 22 Comics. Thank y'all so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed as much as we did making it. All that being said, say goodbye, Jeremy.
Bye, Jeremy.
Bye, Jeremy. Bye.
No, 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 no! I have not even started.
We're going home.
So rude of you! After all the trouble, I want you to feel at home! And you're running off like naughty little children. I just can't allow that.